Krista Wiley person. And, this is file 23-6723FH. We have two things scheduled today. One is a motion to correct a sentence. We also have a probation violation hearing. Counsel, would you please state your appearances beginning with people?
Melissa Goodrich, Wayne County Prosecutor.
No, and I go for Miss Wiley Percy, who does go by Miss Wiley. Just
Daniela Cohen, on behalf of the State Appellate Defender Office. Good afternoon, Your Honor. Jacqueline McCann from Sado for Ms. Percy as well.
Okay. All right, and which makes sense to hear first, the violation hearing? Okay.
I think it makes sense to do the violation hearing first.
Okay. All right, and so any opening statement that you wish to make, Ms. Goodrich?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Nightingale?
No.
Any witnesses, Ms. Goodrich?
Yes, I have Deputy Mackenzie Collins on Zoom.
Any objection to Zoom testimony?
No.
All right, Deputy Collins, if you can unmute yourself and raise your right hand for me. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
You can put your hand down. Go ahead, Ms. Goodrich.
Thank you. Can you start by stating your name for the record, please?
Mackenzie Collins,
And where are you employed?
through the Humane Society of Sheboygan. I'm deputized through the Sheriff's Department.
Thank you. And how many years have you been in that position?
5 years.
And without stating the address, are you familiar with Krista Wiley's residence?
Yes.
And did you accompany MDOC agent Leslie Martin to Krista Wiley's residence on March 19th of 2025?
Yes.
And during that visit to Krista Wiley's residence, did you observe any animals?
Yes.
And what animals were there?
I believe there was definitely fowl. I want to say there was some geese and a few chickens. I'm not sure if it was roosters or hens. I was unable to see because they were in the back of the property. And I'm not sure on the exact amount either.
Okay. And on May 20th of 2024, did you communicate with MDOC agent Leslie Martin about additional animals? Oh, I'm sorry, that was prior. Did you advise her what animals were taken from the property?
Yes.
And at that time, had you removed all birds except for 7 chickens and geese?
That is correct.
And just for clarification, these geese were farm geese, not just geese that happened to fly there at the time that you were there.
Correct. They were domesticated.
And since that time of reporting that on May 20th of 2024, you did not forfeit any remaining chickens, or she did not forfeit any remaining chickens or geese to animal control, Krista Wiley.
Correct.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-exam.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Deputy Collins, you said you worked for Animal Control for about 5 years. Is that right?
That is correct.
Okay. And Ms. Goodrich asked you just earlier, she said that, or asked you that if you went to Miss Wiley's home on May 14th of 2024 or right after that date to go remove some animals from the house. Is that correct?
I believe it was May 19th that we stopped at the residence.
Okay. Were you only there one time?
No, we were there multiple times to remove multiple animals.
And that was in May of 2024, right?
Correct.
Okay. Would you say that you were there probably 4 times that week removing all the animals?
Truthfully, I'd have to look back. I'm not sure exactly. Around there, yes. Around that amount, yeah.
Okay. Fair to say that this was a pretty large operation and was not able to be completed in one single day. Is that fair to say?
Correct.
Okay. And, some of the animals that you removed were like horses and a donkey and an emu, those kinds of animals, right?
Correct.
And after your last visit to Miss Wiley's home, it was just the geese and maybe some chickens that were left. Is that right?
Correct.
Between May of 2024 and March of 2025, did you ever return to the home to remove any more animals from Miss Wiley's house?
I believe in May. May I look at previous report?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the last thing that you just said.
May I look at my report?
Would it help to refresh your recollection if you looked at that report?
Yes.
I have no objection for doing that.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Can you please repeat the question?
Sure. Between May of 2024 and March of 2025, did you ever go back to Miss Wiley's house to remove any additional animals?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay. And just to go back a little bit, I think probably 4 times that you were there in May of 2024 to remove the vast majority of these animals. Was Miss Wiley cooperative with you when you were doing that?
Yes, she was cooperative at the beginning, yes.
Okay. And do you remember her actually assisting you in loading the horses and I believe at least the emu into their livestock pens in order to be transported to animal control?
Yes, yep.
Okay. And so she actively actually helped you to load these animals. Is that fair to say?
Yes, the first day that we were there to seize the majority of them, she was helpful, yes.
I don't have any further questions for this.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Deputy Collins, I have a follow-up question. After you were finished in May of 2024, removing all the animals except for, says some chickens and geese, did you leave any instructions for Miss Wiley about what you wanted her to do regarding the remaining animals?
Yes, so the previous probation officer, I believe first name Kristen, she was told that she was going to have Krista catch the remaining birds as we caught all the other ones. And she was responsible in catching the remaining ones and turning them over to us.
Okay. All right, any follow-up questions as a result of the court's question, Ms. Goodrich?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
Mr. Nightingale?
No, Your Honor, thank you.
All right, Deputy Collins, thank you. You're excused from further testimony here.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Ms. Goodrich, any additional witnesses?
Yes, I'd like to call MDOC Agent Leslie Martin, please.
Okay, Agent Martin, if you please come on to the witness stand as you arrive, raise your right hand for me. Just swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
I do.
Please you be seated.
Can you state your name for the record, please?
Leslie Martin
And where are you employed?
with the Michigan Department of Corrections,
And what is your position?
probation and parole officer.
Okay, and how long have you served in that capacity?
Over 22 years.
Thank you. And do you have Krista Wiley on your caseload?
Yes, I do.
And when did you take over her case?
November 1st of 2024.
And on March 21st of 2025, did you file a request and summons for probation violation?
Yes, I did.
And did you allege contrary to special condition 9(1) a violation of that condition?
Yes,
And what was the violation?
Krista still has animals, farm geese, chickens, hens, and a rooster on her property, and she's not to be in possession of any animals.
Okay, and how did you come about learning that she still had possession of animals she wasn't supposed to have?
As a result of anonymous tips, I did a compliance check with animal control on March 19th and viewed 9 farm geese and heard at least 1 rooster on the property. And then on March 20th, Krista reported to the probation office, at which time she admitted to having 9 farm geese, a hen, a rooster, and 13 chicks on her property.
Okay. And you also alleged a violation of special condition 902. What was the basis for that?
The condition that she must cooperate with animal control for the forfeiture of the removal of all the animals except for the 1 service dog. Per review of the case notes, on March 20th, there was communication between Deputy Collins and the supervising probation officer at the time that there was, all the animals were removed from the property except for 7 chickens and the geese. And per review of the case notes, since that time, there was no further communication that those animals had been turned over to animal control.
And that communication was via text, is that correct?
Yes.
And since filing this violation on March 21st of 2025, has Krista Wiley taken any action to forfeit the additional animals on her property?
Not that I'm aware of.
Thank you. No further questions.
Cross-examine?
Yes, please, thank you. Good afternoon, Agent Martin. So just to be clear, you did not start off as Miss Wiley's probation officer, is that right?
That's correct.
Okay, it was Agent Dudek, I think, that had her before, is that right?
Yes.
So basically anything that occurred before November of 2024, you had no personal involvement in, is that fair to say?
Yes.
But you have been able to review the notes in the file, right?
Right.
Now, you did not go to the home in May of 2024 because you were not her supervising officer, right?
Correct.
But you did go to the home in March of 2025 because at that point you had taken her.
Yes.
And at that time, you personally observed these 9 farm geese and then heard a rooster on the property, right?
Correct.
Did you have a meeting scheduled with Ms. Wiley already on March 20th, or is that something that you called her in for?
No, I believe I called her in for that.
Okay, and so she appears for that appointment with you, right?
Yes.
And she discloses to you exactly what's on the property, right?
Correct.
Since that disclosure, have you, or to your knowledge, animal control gone back to the house or the property to remove these animals?
I have not, because I don't remove animals from property, and I'm not aware of animal control removing any animals since that time.
Okay. Did animal control contact you to advise that they had tried to go and were not able to get the animals?
Since When?
Since, good question, since, March of 25.
Not that I'm aware of, no. They have not attempted to remove the animals and notified me of that attempt.
And as you said, obviously, it's not your job to remove animals, right?
Right.
I have no further questions for her.
Any redirect?
No, Your Honor.
Kate Martin, thank you. You can step down. Any additional proofs?
No additional proofs.
Any defense proofs?
Judge, I would call Ms. Wiley this time, please. Is it okay she sits here since she has her service animal with her, or?
That's
would the
fine.
Court prefer her?
I can go there.
No, that's fine.
Okay.
Right there is fine. If you want to stand and raise your right hand for me. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Can you be seated? Go ahead.
Thank you, Judge. Ms. Wiley, can you state and spell your name for the record, please?
Krista Wiley, Krista
Okay, in the court record, you're noted as Wiley Percy, but you go by Wiley, right?
Correct,
And how old are you today?
41.
Now, Ms. Wiley, you were placed on probation out of this court May of 2024, is that right?
Yes,
And you were put on 5 years of supervised probation, right?
yes,
And you had some pretty special conditions that you were to abide by, right?
yes,
And, you know, these conditions were gone over with you as a part of your probation sentence, is that correct?
correct.
And you not only had the opportunity to discuss those conditions with Agent Dudek and also Agent Martin at a certain point, but the court gave you instructions at your sentencing, is that right?
Yes,
And part of those instructions, I guess, did the court allow you to rehome these animals on your own?
no, Judge Gauthier stated that the animal control would come and seize the animals.
Because you did specifically ask, right, at your sentencing, if you would be able to do that rather than relinquishing them to animal control,
Correct.
right? And so you were not given that permission to actually move these animals on your own, right?
Correct,
And so is it fair to say that you were pretty dependent on animal control to actually come get these animals?
correct.
And they did appear, animal control did at your home 4 separate times in 2024, right?
Yes,
Do you remember the specific days of the week that they were there?
Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then again on Saturday.
And did you have to miss anything, any sort of personal obligations as a part of complying with these orders?
I missed work,
How many days did you miss work?
4 days.
And that was to comply with this court order, right?
Correct.
And at the end of that last day that animal control were there that Saturday, what animals were remaining at the house?
Sammy the emu, the mom and dad and the goslings, and a chicken and a rooster.
So when you say mom and dad and the goslings, you're referring to a male and a female goose, is that correct?
Correct. And
Um,
goslings are babies.
Thank you. And then a couple chickens, is that what you said?
Yes,
Now, had animal control returned to your home, would you have relinquished these animals?
yes,
But since May of 2025, they have not returned to your house, right?
May of 2024,
Sorry, May of 2020, no, 25.
No, 24.
24.
They were out there May, they were out there May of 2024 and March of.
March 25. Apologies. Thank you. March of 25.
No, they have not been back.
Okay. But had they been back, you would have relinquished those animals. right?
Correct.
Now, when you said that after their last visit to the property in May of 24, May's and March are hard for me apparently, that there was these geese, a couple chickens, and the emu left. Is that right?
Correct.
And when did they come back to the emu?
Saturday.
So that was on the Saturday, the very last day they were there.
Correct.
Did you have to do anything special to help them get that emu off the property?
I had to help Deputy Collins back up her truck and trailer to load the email while she stood about 50 feet away. And I put a leash around Sandy the email and walked him into her livestock trailer.
Did you have to do anything else like that for any of the other animals?
No,
Not like the horses or anything?
The horses, they were able to drive the truck and trailer to the back of the property. There's a road where we'd taken our hay and back it up. The horses, that was for the goats. The horses, we walked up to the road. So I put the halter and lead rope on my horses and walked them up to the roadway to help them load into the stock trailer.
And at this time, do you have any other animals on the property besides your one certified service animal?
No,
I have no further questions from Ms. White.
Cross-exam.
Yes. Ms. Wiley, where are the 9 farm geese?
per my appellate attorney, I removed them from the property.
And where did you put them?
I gave them away.
And when was that?
On March 22nd,
Of this year?
correct.
Okay. And where is the hen?
She is off the property too.
And where did the hen go?
I just gave them away
And where's the rooster?
with the hen.
And how about the 13 chicks?
With the mom, which is the hen.
So when your attorney told you to get rid of the animals, you were able to do that, but when animal control and your agent told you back in May 2024, you kept them there.
They did not tell me to remove the animals. They said animal control would come back and get them.
And how often since May 2024 have you met with your agent, both the prior one and current Agent Martin?
I had Kristen do it. She was 2 times a month. I'm not sure how long she was. She got a job in the prison, left. Eric Young took over midstream, and then Leslie Martin took over in October.
Okay, and did you meet both with Miss Agent Young and Agent Martin 2 times per month?
For October, November, December, and then in January, it went to 1 time a month. For January, February, and March.
And did you understand that part of your conditions were that you not own, possess, or care for any animals or live on any property that has animals?
Correct. She was notified, Miss Martin was in October, that I still had the geese and the chickens on the property.
Okay, and was she notified by you on March 20th, 2025?
That was my normal report date, and yes.
But prior to that, she was not notified.
No, she was October twice, November twice, December twice, January once, February once, and then in March on my report date. She was well aware those animals were still on the property.
And you knew that that was a condition of your probation not to have those animals on your property?
Correct.
No further questions.
Any redirect?
No.
Okay, thank you. Any further defense proofs?
Defense for rest except for.
Any rebuttal proofs?
No, Your Honor.
Argument, Ms. Goodrich?
Your Honor, based on the testimony of Deputy Collins, the testimony of Agent Martin, and the testimony of Ms. Wiley, I believe that she has been in violation of Special Condition 9.01, where she was owning, possessing, carrying, and living on property with animals that was personally observed by the agent, as well as defendant has admitted to that both on March 20th and here today. And also Special Condition 9.02, that no efforts were made for her to forfeit those animals. She simply was just sitting there in violation and waiting for someone to come take it, I guess. She hasn't testified at any efforts that she made to comply with her probation, and I'd ask that she be in violation of both of those conditions. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Nightingale.
Thank you, Judge. So for Ms. Wiley, what I think is really clear here is that every time animal control came to her residence, she was cooperative and removed animals. She went so far as to back up their own trailer for them and to put animals in the pens for them. I don't know how much more cooperative she realistically could have been. If animal control and probation are aware that these animals are still on the property, I'm referring specifically to the geese and the couple chickens that were remaining after this May of 2024 search, those 4 different days that they were on the property removing these animals. I don't think that at that point that Miss Wiley was able to then comply with her terms of probation. That animal control was required to come get these animals. She was not just allowed to remove them. But until they filed a violation alleging that, well, she's still possessing them, but she also can't remove them, she's in like a rock and a hard place type of situation. Further, what I would say as far as special condition 09.01 is that this is overly broad. I would say that this is probably void for vagueness and applies in the face of due process. So it says you may not own or possess or care for any animals or live on any property that has animals except for your one certified service animal. The statute that she was convicted under defines an animal as a vertebrate other than a human being. There's no differentiation here between wild, domestic, livestock, fowl, service animals, except for her one certified animal, companion animals. There's all different definitions of what these things are under the statute. And to say that she can't live on a property that has any animals is overly broad. She's not able to comply with this or have proper notice of what she's actually supposed to do. For example, say, right, that we never had any of these allegations of probation violation. She built a giant fence around her house. She's in a full-on compound. A bird flies into her yard and she has to leave. I mean, that's kind of where we're at, right? And I don't want it to be laughable, but at a certain point, what is she to do under these circumstances? Every time they come to her house, she is cooperative. There's not a violation filed actually until the appellate attorneys get involved. They file this motion for essentially modification of her sentence is what I'm understanding. And then magically we're here for a violation. It just seems fishy. And I don't, like I said, I mean, 902 says that you must cooperate with animal control for the forfeiture and removal of all the animals. She's done that. Every time they come, she cooperates, she forfeits animals. She can't make them take additional animals. If they're not equipped to take them, they can't take them, and she waits for them to return. I guess, sorry, I have to look at my phone for just a second, but I was able to see just a snippet of the transcript from the hearing back on her sentencing. And I guess I would just ask the court to take judicial notice of
I'm
that
looking at
hearing.
page 15.
Yes, thank you. That's exactly what I'm looking at, Judge. She asked, Ms. Wiley asked, may I ask you a question? The court says yes. She asked, am I able to relinquish these animals back to their previous owners? The court says, no, they're forfeited to animal control and they'll rehome them as appropriate. She says, okay. What else is she supposed to do at this point? She's been in full compliance. She is in compliance now at the advice of her appellate attorneys, not just at the advice of probation or animal control. She's done everything that she could, Judge. And so even by her preponderance standard, the people have failed to meet their burden, and the court should find her not in violation of continuing probation. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Gooderson. Your rebuttal argument.
But Your Honor, regardless of whether she was to forfeit them or not to animal control, she certainly got rid of them as soon as an attorney told her, but failed to, despite the felony probation terms, that she not live on property with animals or not own, possess, or care for those animals. So I would still say that we proceed with the violations.
All right, thank you. Well, here at the sentencing back on May 14th in 2024, I stated on the record that as an additional or as a condition of probation that all the animals that you currently possess and own at that property are forfeited to the Humane Society, with the exception of your one service animal that you do have with you today. You're also, as a condition of your probation, going to have to cooperate with animal control for the removal and forfeiture of those animals. Any failure to cooperate or disclose information to them could bring it back into court on a violation of probation. She asked if she could relinquish the animals back to previous owners. I told her no, they were forfeited to animal control. They'll rehome them as appropriate. Now, the general rule, of course, is that courts speak through their written orders. In the written order of the probation order, condition 9, I mean, the easy one is 9.02. There's no proof of a violation of 9.02. That requires that she cooperate with animal control for the forfeiture and removal of all the animals except her service dog. And she did. Every time they showed up, she cooperated to do that. That placed on her the affirmative obligation only to cooperate and not interfere with their efforts. I guess I can understand that the animal control officer may be tired of chasing chickens and had to capture Sammy the emu and the donkey. And I'm sure this was quite a protracted affair and took a great deal of effort. But as a factual matter, animal control left the premises knowing that animals that were forfeited to animal control remained on the premises. I forfeited those animals to animal control. I told Miss Percy, or Miss Wiley, I'm sorry, that she couldn't do anything with those animals except give them to animal control. So she cooperated. There's no evidence of the violation of 902. 901 is a bit trickier because if I just look at the written order, you can't possess or care for animals or own them or live on property that has them. And if I look only at that language, she's violating that, to be sure, for months that she's living on. And I would hope she's feeding those animals. So she's providing some care to them. And I don't blame the probation officer has to bring this violation, gets a tip that, hey, there's animals still out there. She does a check. Yep, there's animals still out there. She's filing the violation. Probation officer did nothing wrong. And the probation officer is absolutely correct. Department of Corrections probation supervision does not include chasing chickens around the yard. So that's not their job. It is, however, animal control's job. And animal control, I'm sorry to have to say it this way, but simply did not do their job. And if I read that language, not in a vacuum of what's on the printed page, but Miss Wiley was standing in front of this court with a straddled cell where she could have gone to prison. I'm sure that's a very daunting moment in any person's life. And I'm sitting up here from this bench and telling her, those animals don't belong to you anymore. They're forfeited to animal control. No, you can't do anything else with them. If I'm her, I would be terrified to rehome those animals on my own. They come to get the animals, they leave without the animals. What is she supposed to do? I can come up with a list of things that I'm sure that we all would have wanted her to do, as her appellate attorneys advised her. Hey, under these circumstances, you're going to be okay if you get rid of those animals. So if she would have consulted with an attorney, for example, I'm sure any of us in this room would have told her, get rid of those animals on your own. But she didn't have the benefit of that, other than the animal control officer who's tired of chasing these says, well, you do this for me now. I think I can't view that language in a vacuum. Miss Wiley was, in fact, between a rock and a hard place here. I disagree with the contention that this is somehow unconstitutionally vague. Clearly she's not going to get violated for a squirrel wanders through her yard. But I do think it's clear enough in context that if she obtains or cares for any animals, or she moves somewhere and they have animals that are being cared for, domesticated or farm animals or whatever of any kind, she's going to be violated. And she knows that. I think it's clear enough. If that happens, she can raise the void for vagueness arguments at that time and we'll deal with them. But I think even setting that aside, I do not find, based on a preponderance of the evidence, that a violation has been established. I'm glad that she's cooperated with her appellate attorney's advice to remove the animals. And at this point, it appears that she is in compliance with those probation conditions. So the court will find the violation has not been proven, and I've signed an order to that effect to file with the clerk. Thank you, Mr. Nightingale, for your representation in the matter.
Thank you, Judge.
All right.
Yeah, you stay there. I will step aside and let her real nice take it.
All right. All right. You okay with doing the break? Okay. You can take 5 minutes if you need. Okay. All right. So now we are. All right, Ms. Cohen, you're here with your motion to correct an invalid sentence.
Yes, sir.
I've reviewed the motion and supporting materials. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. We don't want to belabor the point, but as you can tell, Miss Wiley cares deeply about the animals, and she was very upset about this process and how everything happened. So we filed this motion not because we are trying to argue that, you know, she's not or hasn't done anything wrong. We're merely asking the court for a chance at rehabilitation when the ban on all animals, save for her service animal, was put in place. There was never any opportunity whatsoever in literally, quote, her lifetime to show the court that she could own or possess any kind of animal beyond the service dog. And so we're merely asking the court that she be able, not even today, but down the line, that she be able to prove to the court that she was capable, she's more than capable of taking good care of animals, and the court can impose whatever kind of conditions it would like on that process, or, you know, the quantity of animals or the type. But that's the basis of our motion today. We would also just join trial counsel in arguing that we do think the language itself in the probation order about this lifetime ban on all kinds of animals is overly broad, but we understand that you might disagree with that.
Can I ask you though, so here's what I struggle with, because if I only look again at, and if the appellate court looks only at the lifetime ban in conjunction with a 5-year probation,
Yes.
I think, again, sort of like looking at things in a vacuum or in context, as I just did in the violation. If we're only looking at 5-year probation plus lifetime ban, I think you'd have an awfully good argument that that lifetime ban is unlawful, and you may very well prevail. But the statute allows for lifetime probation to facilitate that. I'm not sure that anybody is any longer a fan of lifetime probation. The state of Michigan had some experience with lifetime probation during the what we now understand to be a panic about some cocaine sentencing and things like this. And there were all sorts of lifetime probationers, which causes a terrible problem.
Sure.
So under the statute, I could have, and based on Ms. Wiley's record of animal control violations, it may well have been proportionate to give her lifetime probation to facilitate this ban. But I don't want to do that and subject her to the liberty interests I mean, if she violates this lifetime ban after probation, her maximum exposure penalty is 93 days for contempt of court. I didn't want to have her for the rest of her life have prison jeopardy over her head by a lifetime probation. So I'm trying to fashion some way to accomplish the lifetime ban without the attendant liberty constrictions on lifetime probation, and fashion some mitigation. So my question to you, with all of that preface, is there a path for a court to do that? Or is that just not among the valid menu items that I can order?
Would you give me a moment to consult with my colleague?
Sure.
Can I ask you a question, Your Honor?
Sure.
Just to clarify your question.
Yeah.
Do you mean that without placing her on lifetime probation, you can't sort of give her restrictions as to what animal she might be able to own versus not own?
No, I just mean, what's my authority to impose any ban beyond the time constraints of the probationary order?
So does the lifetime quote unquote ban really a 5-year ban?
Right.
You could.
What else? I mean, okay, you're the head of the mentorship program, right?
Yes.
And are we kind of doing that?
Yes.
I have no objection. Ms. Goodrich, do you have any objection to both attorneys participating in the argument?
I don't, Your Honor.
Okay, you may both participate in here. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Your Honor. Jacqueline McCann, for Ms. Wiley. I struggle with this in other contexts too, Your Honor. It will say lifetime electronic monitoring for the CSC offenders. I have had former clients say to me, well, they took that off after my parole ended. That's not my understanding of how it's supposed to work if you read the statute. And that's sort of the situation I'm in with your question about the lifetime ban.
Right, but there's a statute that allows lifetime electronic monitoring without regard to being under a term of supervision. This statute says I can impose a ban as a condition of probation, and probation can be lifetime. So I'm a little bit outside the statute to impose a ban that exceeds the probationary term, but I'm trying to do that to inure to the benefit of the defendant.
In order to avoid the lifetime probation.
Correct.
And if your honor is saying that, that if lawfully there is no way to do that.
Other than lifetime probation, I would have put her on lifetime probation. So what do I do then?
But as your understanding of your existing sentence, if I'm trying to make, sure I understand that, is that the lifetime ban on animals is only good for the 5 years?
No,
Okay.
no,
that
I'm
it
saying,
will- that it
I'm
will
saying
continue on.
you might win on that argument at the Court of Appeals is what I'm telling you.
Okay.
But that was an important part of my sentence. And if to facilitate that, I had to give her lifetime probation, I would have. So.
Well, let me say this, your honor, our other position on this, and I think it's kind of in the motion as well, is that we're asking you to let her go forward on probation and sort of defer your decision about the lifetime ban until the end of her probation cycle. And if that means your honor like denies this motion without prejudice to us bringing it again, you know, that seems like a possible solution.
Might really complicate your appellate argument.
Well, you know, my concern is more about what's best for Miss Wiley. And if the real life solution is to deny it without prejudice and we can return as a motion to amend the terms, maybe that's the best thing for her.
My other question is related. When I review the sentencing transcript and refresh my recollection of those details, it seems that the severity of that lifetime ban and my appreciation of its effects on Ms. Wiley were a consideration for why I did not impose any incarceration despite a guidelines range of 12 to 48 months. So if either on this motion or on appeal, the lifetime ban is set aside, wouldn't the proper remedy be an entire resentencing, where if that's off the table, I reconsider everything else that we were talking about, the length of probation and whether there's any incarceration imposed? So by pulling on the lifetime ban thread, don't you undo the entire sentence?
It was not our intention to do that. And if your honor interprets it that way, I would like some time to talk to Ms. Wiley about whether she wants to go forward with this motion or not, because certainly we don't want her to be exposed to prison time.
Yeah, I think I would interpret it that way. But let me ask you as a practical matter then, would it solve this matter practically if I were to enter an order that is for the benefit of either me or any successor judge, because this is a lifetime order that's lingering out there, that the defendant may once every 5 years petition the court for relief from that provision?
That would
Something
be,
like
I think, an excellent solution, your honor.
All right, anything else you want me to know to understand your position?
No, your honor.
Okay, Ms. Goodrich, people's position?
In light of the court's questions, I have nothing really new to add. That was my concern. I wasn't sure what was being asked. Are they saying, hey, consider incarceration because we don't like the lifetime ban? Are you looking for the any term of probation that the statute allows? Kind of one of those, be careful what you ask for. I have no objection to the court adding that every 5 years she could petition the court.
It's a very unusual order for there to be just an order that's out there that exists for the lifetime of the defendant. So given that circumstance, I would grant partial relief and would sign an order presented by the defense that would amend the judgment of sentence. We're not going to do an amended judgment, but it would be a separate order that would say that once every 5 years, beginning from the date of the judgment of sentence, Ms. Wiley may petition the court for relief from that order. And it would be my position, I guess I'll just state on the record for whatever is going on up in a higher court, that if I'm well aware that the ban not within a probationary term appears on a reading of the statute to perhaps not be authorized by that statute. If that's ever a ruling, that was part and parcel of the sentence, and I think it would require a resentencing. Because I may well have imposed lifetime probation to facilitate that. And which, if I had done that, because I'm talking myself into the relief you asked me about, if she was on lifetime probation, probation is always subject to amendment. So if she was on lifetime probation, she'd always be able to come back and petition for a term to be modified. So this order allowing her to petition for relief on a periodic basis seems to be consistent with what that would be. Because what I'm trying to do is have that be a lifetime order without having her be on probation and subject to going to prison if she violates. She catches a drunk driving while she's on probation, 30 years from now goes to prison. So having said all that, I don't think the sentence is unlawful. If to the extent anybody thought so, I think the remedy would be a complete resentencing. In lieu of that, I'm going to grant the partial relief as I outlined, and Ms. McCann, you can submit over that.
Thank you so much, Your Honor. I will draft that and run it by Ms. Goodrich and we'll get it to you.
Okay, thank you all very much for your careful attention to an unusual case.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
And we are adjourned.